Hemp is used in over 25,000 products, but for no reason whatsoever, federal law prohibits the cultivation of industrial hemp in the United States. Even though, as we constantly strive to educate our colleagues, industrial hemp has negligible THC, no use whatsoever as a psychoactive compound or recreational drug, so products containing hemp cannot currently be made in the United States for growing hemp. They have to be imported, depriving American farmers of millions of dollars in economic activity and driving up the price for consumers. We are working to pass the Industrial Hemp Farming Act, which would allow American farmers to grow hemp if it's permitted under state law, and we want your help in getting us additional bipartisan co-sponsors.
Expo shows just how much potential that hemp has to create jobs and bring back economic development here in the United States. It's a real honor for me to be able to introduce some of our leading members of the Hemp Caucus here in Congress. The first modern hemp bill was introduced in 2005, and we started out with only 11 co-sponsors that first year. And in 2016, we now have 65 co-sponsors, and it's strong bipartisan support for the bill, and it's been growing every year. Representative Blumenauer was one of our earliest supporters and the first from Oregon to actually co-sponsor hemp legislation.
Thank you, Jared, for your leadership and activity. And I'm going to turn over to our senior senator in Oregon, Congressman Ron Wyden, who's been really a terrific champion on this. It's nice to see the Senate moving in this area. Senator Wyden is right in the middle of that. You think for a moment about how far we have come in Congress, but think about how far we have to go. On the site of the Pentagon, I've got a picture of a hemp plant about 14 feet high, where the military was urging Americans to grow hemp during World War II because of its strategic importance. Think for a moment about our founding fathers, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, both of whom must be spinning in their graves right now, knowing that a product that they grew and profited from is illegal to be grown now. It's absolutely nuts. And Senator Wyden's going to explain to you why. I'm pleased to watch the momentum build, but we need you to make sure that we seal the deal. This is a bill that we can pass in this Congress before the 4th of July for the American consumer, for American farmers, and for rational federal policy. I look forward to this progress. Thank you very much.
Speaker, Senator Wyden was the first to introduce, not in the modern era, to introduce federal hemp legislation. And has been a real leader.
So, about 4 years ago, we were out and about shopping, and we were going through a Costco. In fact, Costco was in Congresswoman Bonamici's district. We came to a section of the store, and they were selling a variety of products, fiber, protein, very healthy. And we saw these enormous packages of something called hemp hearts. I said, hey, sweetie, I thought this stuff was illegal. I mean, isn't it like pot or something? I thought it was illegal. And she said, I don't know very much about it either, but they're selling it in Costco, so let's just kind of assume that this is, okay. And so that led me to start doing some research and some homework. And what I learned is the Oregon farmer can't grow hemp and sell it to Costco, even though Costco has got it on the shelves. I guess the Canadian farmers must be popping champagne corks every night because they get to grow it. Somebody puts it in a bag at some point, and then Costco sells it. I mean, the ban on growing hemp to sell it to Costco makes about as much sense as a ban on portobello mushrooms. I mean, this is goofy even by Washington, D.C. standards. We do some pretty goofy stuff around here. So I, in talking with my wife, said I'm going to adopt a really radical, far-out idea. I'm going to say, if it's legal for somebody to buy it at a Costco store in Congresswoman Bonamici's district, it ought to be legal for the Oregon farmer to be able to grow it and sell it in Costco. I said, man, that's a revolutionary thought. But guess who subscribes to it now? The majority leader of the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell. So you have in the Senate, I guess you'd call it a Wyden, Merkley, McConnell, Rand Paul bill. Don't see that force together a single day. But I'm so pleased that you all are here. I also want to single out Oregon's natural good medicines. Where are they? Oregon's now. Oh, good. They're out there. Let's give them a big round of applause. They're representative of finding a way to incorporate hemp into everyday products. So, again, I'm so pleased to be able to be with you for a few minutes. You've got real momentum in the United States Senate. You do not get Mitch McConnell to be a co-sponsor of a piece of legislation by osmosis. It doesn't just happen. It's an indication of what incredible work you've done at the grassroots level. It is great to be on your side on this one. We're going to stay at it until we make it happen. Thanks for all the good work. Thanks, Oregon.
A few years back, when the Farm Bill was being considered in 2013, Representative Polis came to us with an idea and said, hey, I'd like to put an amendment to the Farm Bill and see if we can do something for hemp. And the original idea was to include it to allow university research. And we had never had it in the modern era. We hadn't had a vote on industrial hemp on the floor. And so we didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out. But we worked very hard, and we were super appreciative of all the work that he did. In any case, it passed 225 to 200 with a very strong bipartisan vote, and led to us being able to include hemp in the Farm Bill, and that allowed these pilot programs that we have today. Some of these farmers here in the audience, like Mike Bogan and Mike Lewis and Edgar from Winter from Oregon, wouldn't be growing hemp today if it wasn't for that. So I really want to thank Representative Polis and introduce him now. Thank you so much.
I think we have some viewers on Periscope to say hi to as well. And Eric, thank you. And you're right, you know, winning that vote, not only what we would call a test vote on a concept, but something that actually became law. And thanks to that law, we have institutions in my district like CSU and CU doing research on industrial hemp. But winning that vote sort of broke the dam on this discussion. We have a working majority. I believe it's even larger than the 225. When we get this back to a vote, I fully expect it to be in the high 200s, and it's not too far out of sight to be in the 300s on this issue. Because we forced our colleagues to look at it. Even colleagues that might not be coming from states where they're actively growing it, or where there's a climate for it, or where it's legal, to simply say this policy doesn't make sense for America. And when the question is called, they will act. Every year, U.S. retailers sell over $300 million worth of products containing hemp. Hemp is in over 25,000 different products, from lotions to protein bars to car parts. And it's very important that we take the actions necessary to support this industry that adds millions of dollars to our economy. And since currently almost all hemp is imported, the United States has been losing out on a big part of the economic benefits that come with growing and processing hemp, as well as penalizing consumers in our country of hemp-related products. I'm proud to say with the passage of Amendment 64 in Colorado, we put sensible rules and regulations in place for the cultivation of industrial hemp. They, under the purview of our Department of Agriculture, I understand there's representatives from the Colorado Department of Agriculture here, and we've made a lot of that process available to other states that are looking at that. It's essential that our higher education institutions and state agriculture programs continue to grow and develop industrial hemp for research purposes. I'm glad to see that we're making progress on the issue, but we haven't gotten there yet. We still have seizures of seeds at state borders. We still have efforts that are being hampered at the university level, and even acquiring the ability to get the work done. I want to thank, for my staff in Colorado, Mara Brosi-Wichar is here. Mara said it. I don't think these two speakers have ever keynoted together before. Is that a good assumption? What a great sense of the coalition that's come together around this common sense issue. Our first speaker has been an advocate for hemp as a health product for the last decade. Montel Williams, that you all know, is the Emmy Award-winning host of the Montel Williams Show, which ran for 17 years until 2008, one of the longest-running talk shows in history. He currently operates a multimedia venture around a brand he created called Living Well with Montel, which includes TV format and products and web content. He's authored 8 books, including 3 bestsellers. A strong advocate for bringing hemp back to the United States to be grown just as our forefathers did. And I really couldn't be more pleased to welcome our first keynote on the important topic of industrial hemp, Mr. Montel.
Thank the representative and say that it's really not that odd that we were bedfellows. Most people don't know. Mr. Woolsey, of course, know that he was the head of the CIA. Most people know I did 22 years in the military, and my role in the military was as a special duty intelligence officer. I studied Russian at the Defense Language Institute and worked as a spy. So as spies get old, that's what we do, we hang out together. So I want to thank Jim for giving me an opportunity just to speak for just a minute. Representative Polis, I don't want to even correct anything that's been said, but there have been a couple numbers that have been thrown out here that I think we really need to come to an understanding of. In 2014, it's estimated that well over $620 million in sales was achieved using varied forms of hemp products here in the United States. And the majority of that money left the United States and went to Canada, to China, to Kazakhstan, and several places around the country, around the world. But what we don't understand, and this is something that since day one, I've been involved in the movement to legalize cannabis for medical purposes and to bring hemp back to the country, because I recognize that even in industrial hemp, there is a cannabinoid that grows readily and apparent. It's called CBD. But what most people, even in this movement, don't know, I want to read you a little something. It's really important. I think you get this. I'm sorry, I dropped my phone last night and smashed the screen, so I'm going to do this around cracks, okay? But cannabinoids have been found to have antioxidant properties unrelated to MDMA receptors antagonisms. This newfound property makes cannabinoids useful in the treatment of and prophylaxis of a wide variety of oxidation-associated diseases, such as schematic, age-related, inflammatory, autoimmune diseases. Cannabinoids have been found to have particular application to neuroprotectants. I could read on and on and on, but why am I reading this to you? Because I'm going to go over here this little number that's called published number. U.S. number 6630507B1. Below that, it says publication type, granted. What is this? The U.S. government gave itself the patent on CBD. The U.S. government wrote what is the abstract that I just read to you. If you go up right now online, you will figure out that not only does the U.S. government own the patent on CBD, it owns the patent on THC. It granted it to itself because over the course of the last now close to 40 years in America, folks, we have every single year the Congress and the Senate pass a bill and agree to continue to fund a program at the University of Mississippi, which has been delivering marijuana for 38 years to now 4 remaining alive 20 patients, allowing them to have access to medication that relieves their suffering. So, I know this industry is all about making sure that we bring some of that $620 million back to the United States in industrial hemp. But understand, this industry also controls the life essence of a lot of us who suffer. Some of us right now have to go to stores here in the United States and buy CBD that's been processed from hemp that comes from Kazakhstan or from one of the stans, and we have no idea what their process are, whether or not they're using tanes and butanes and trying their best to either elicit a seizure or something else in one of us. And we know that since we've seen the great report that Dr. Sanjay Gupta did on CBD, Americans are running all over the place trying to find a product, but have no idea where they're getting it from. Now, I don't know about you. Ignorance, I use that term, but I don't think it fits. Egregiously offensive, I don't know if that fits. How dare we live in a country where we have a government that will provide relief to 3 or 4 people for 30 years and looks people like me who suffer from intractable pain from MS, looks at our soldiers who suffer from PTSD and other illnesses that we know for a fact that we have studied and paid for the studies in Israel that prove that CBD works. When are we going to stop the hypocrisy? And that's really what this whole thing should be about. But I'm going to turn to you all that are members of the industry. One of the things I'm going to say to you is, you have to knock it off. All the infighting does no one any good. It is about time that you have the Congress of the United States, the Senate of the United States, coming together to turn this over to you, clean up your act, so that when I go into a store and find something that I'm going to put in my body, you better make sure it does me no harm. Thank you. Let's pass this bill.
Before I introduce the next speaker, I want to, what a great and impassioned advocate Montel Williams is. And, in our state of Colorado, as an example, we are a state that also has dealt with the regulatory structure for medical marijuana and as well as consumer marijuana. Very different set from regulations than industrial hemp. So industrial hemp is an industrial crop. It's a commodity crop under our Department of Agriculture, as compared to the way we regulate any substance like alcohol or marijuana, tightly controlled. We track it from origin through point of sale. We have a very strong concern with keeping it out of the hands of minors, preventing the criminal element. So we have a very different structure, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that, and I think that's something that the entire community supports as well. But for a large-scale industrial crop to succeed, it needs to have a very light hand. And I think the Colorado Department of Agriculture has done an excellent job with the tools they have. They themselves will voice the frustrations of having to force farmers to pay to test their own crop, deterring small and medium-sized farmers from even attempting to grow industrial hemp, the very risk of having to destroy your entire crop, all because Congress has not acted on the Industrial Hemp Farming Act to move towards creating a form of certified seed that farmers can grow, knowing that they have fulfilled their responsibility legally and ethically. Our next keynote speaker is Ambassador James Woolsey, who has served in the U.S. government in many capacities. He had been ambassador to the Negotiation on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe, and he was appointed as director of the Central Intelligence Agency in 1993. Ambassador Woolsey currently serves on a range of government, corporate, and nonprofit industry boards and chairs, including the advisory board on the Clean Fuels Foundation and the New Uses Council. Ambassador Woolsey currently serves as a board member of the North American Industrial Hemp Council. Let's give him a round of applause for that. And he is a fervent proponent of biofuels. We couldn't be more thrilled to introduce somebody who has really helped lend his good name, prestige, and extensive background to the cause. Ambassador James Woolsey, welcome.
Thank you, Congressman. I should probably quit while I'm ahead. Not only was that an overly generous introduction, but trying to follow my wife's and my partner and friend, Montel Williams' multiple Emmy Award winner, defeater of Oprah in ratings. I could not have a harder job, so I will, for several reasons, be very brief. I have been a member of the North American Industrial Hemp Council for over a decade, and have been particularly interested in hemp through an interest in our rural and agricultural societies in the United States. We have migrated into monoculture, and we have migrated into a world in which the family farm is hanging on by its fingernails. And a new crop, freed for sale, that has so many industrial and medicinal uses as hemp, has got to be an excellent, excellent move to begin to restore the possibility of families owning their farms, expanding the number of family farms, expanding the local health of agriculture. We live in a society that in many ways is over-connected. Everything about the web and about our modern lives is connected and tied to one another, sometimes to a troubling degree. To a degree that one disturbance in one part of the country with respect to today's electricity grid can mean that hundreds of communities are without electricity, whereas it used to be just a few. We have a serious problem in our interconnectedness and our lack of local self-sufficiency. And it is very much, I think, in the strategic interest of the United States to be able to move to some extent back into a world in which we can locally grow and produce and fashion and have available crops and building blocks for our economy and for our society. This is not something rigid. It's not that you cannot have a monoculture farm if you own the land and you want to. It's still a free country, I hope. It is. We can do what we want, but the economic incentives are such that they have, and the government policies especially, that they have driven us away from local self-sufficiency. Industrial hemp can help us reclaim that direction, and for the family farm to again, and healthy rural communities and healthy small towns, again be a major part and a growing part of America as distinct from shrinking in number and size. So I came into concern about and interest in industrial hemp through that route. And it is one that the more I learn about our agricultural society and the more I learn about the interconnectedness of our economy, the more I think industrial hemp and where it can help us go is an important part, a very important part of the future of America. And I thank you for being here today, and thank you for, on behalf of Montel and myself, for standing to listen to us talk, and that will now end. Thank you.